Hey everyone, Coach Curtis Phelan here. Hope you're having an awesome and blessed day, as I am. About to go on my afternoon walk. I figured I'd jump on here and we'll talk to some coaches. So I want to talk to coaches who are known, respected, and genuinely liked by their communities and still can't figure out why the referrals and inbound clients just aren't consistently showing up, because the reason is specific and it has almost nothing to do with talent. Okay, a lot of times coaches have imposter syndrome. Until they overcome that, it's a challenge, but that's not what we're talking about today. So maybe you go to networking events, right? And people light up when you tell them you're a business coach, right? They're like, oh, that's cool, right? I know people who need that, right? And then they never contact you with anyone that you can help, right? Because they can't really remember what exactly you do or who exactly you help, okay? So they're like excited and they're like, oh, I know a lot of business owners, but they're not speaking, they don't think of one particular person, so they can't really get you connected with them, but they know people that you can help. If they just knew exactly what you did as a business coach, right? So maybe you're famous in the room, but you're invisible in the market. So here's what changes that, all right? So I've been coaching business owners for over 26 years. If you don't know me, I was one of the founding coaches for Tony Robbins. I say that fast because I say it every day. But I say that because I had the unique privilege, right, of being immediately immersed in the ability to coach people from all walks of life, right? From kids in school trying to do better, to stay-at-home moms trying to lose weight or get the kids to behave, to celebrities and actors and Fortune 100 CEOs, right? All levels, okay? And I've spent 26 years, right, watching this exact pattern that we're going to talk about today repeat itself across every coaching niche in every market, okay? It's one of the biggest challenges, biggest struggles that coaches have, all right? So the coach who is broadly well liked by a is narrowly hired, right? So if they're broadly liked, they're well known in a large group, they're narrowly hired, right? So who has more LinkedIn connections than clients, right? Who's respected at all networking events like we talked about, and they're not referred to anybody, right? Anyone specifically, because everyone can imagine how they might generally be useful, but nobody can picture a specific person in their network who needs exactly what you do, right? It has to be like, oh, I know a bunch of people. It has to be, oh, Mary needs your help because you just said what Mary told her she needs help with. Make sense? All right. So today I want to show you exactly what's happening and exactly how to fix it. I want to tell you about Michelle. So Michelle, she's been a business coach for 4 years. When she came to me, she was extraordinarily well connected. She attended 3 or 4 networking events a month, right? She's on a first name basis with probably a couple hundred business owners in her city, right? She had a reputation as someone who was smart, warm, and generous with her time, okay? Now, Michelle was averaging 4 paying clients at any given time, so she consistently had about 4 clients at $2,000 a month. That's $8,000 in monthly revenue, so not too bad, right? For most people, but she had been at that number roughly 2.5 years. Okay, and nothing wrong with that if that's where she wants to be. That's like I said, that's a good income for most people, right? That's very part-time work. 4 clients. That's really low. But if you want to do it part-time, great. But when I asked her to describe her ideal client, because she didn't want to stay there, right, obviously. So when I asked her to describe her ideal client, she said something that I've heard from coaches at this exact plateau more times than I can count, okay? She said, I work with business owners who want to grow their companies and improve their personal performance. You ever heard that? Have you ever said that? I have, okay? Because in the beginning years, that's pretty much, every coach now learned everything we used to use in the past, and nothing's really changed, right? So she said, I work with business owners who want to grow their companies and improve their personal performance. What the heck does that mean? Like, that's not very specific. Now, it worked in the past, a couple decades ago, because people say, what is that? How do you do that, right? But now it's like, okay, that's cool, All right, awesome. It's nothing, like, it's not going to trigger someone to want to book a call with you, right? So I asked her to describe the last 5 clients she'd worked with. She described a restaurant owner, a marketing agency, a medical services administrator, an e-commerce entrepreneur, like an online business, right, and a retail store. Okay, so 5 different industries, 5 different stages of business, right? Every business is in a different stage. 5 different primary challenges, right? So I said, Michelle, when one of your 200 networking contacts, right, that you meet with, when they meet a business owner at like a party or a foundational event or something like that, and thinks of recommending a coach, who do they see when they picture your ideal client? Now, she thought about that, right, for a moment, and then she said, I guess they see everyone, right? Which means they see no one, right? Have you ever heard that before? So this is a wall, okay? Not her talent, not her worth ethic for sure, right? She's out hustling and networking and connecting and blah, blah, blah. A lot of busy work, right? Not her reputation, solid reputation, right? The fact she had never drawn a specific picture of who she was for, right? So nobody in her network could recognize that specific person and send them to her, right? So they knew her, she was a business coach and helped people, businesses grow, but that's really kind of where it ended in their minds. So that, when they talk to a business owner, the business owner says, I'm struggling with this, they don't think of Michelle, right? So we spent 2 sessions, right, rebuilding her positioning based on her results, her energy, and her access, right, to the network. We landed on this, okay? Now, Michelle helps professional service firm founders, attorneys, accountants, consultants, who are excellent at their work and overwhelmed by the business side of running their practice. Build the systems that let them work fewer hours and earn significantly more within 9 months. Now, do you see how clear and specific that is? Now, 6 weeks after implementing that positioning, Michelle, she received 7 specific referrals from people who already knew her, right? These are people she had been talking to for months, if not years, right? Not like strangers, new people she just met, right? All these couple hundred business owners that she networks with and sees at fundraisers and goes to pickleball with and stuff like that, right? So 7 introductions from existing contacts once she got clarity on that. So when she came up with that and she started sharing that with everyone, then they're like, oh, well, Joe needs that or Mary needs that, right? It was very specific. They could think of a specific individual. So you want to do that. So same network, same relationships, dramatically different result. The only change was the specificity. I always have trouble with that word, right? The specificity. That's why I use it, because I want to make sure I can say it in the future. But specificity of a picture that she gave people. All right. So, anyways, I gotta check my time here. Sorry about that. I had a pop-up come up, and I want to see what this is. I have a meeting right now. Okay, cool. All right, awesome. That's right. So, anyways, where were we? Yeah. So here's the method, right? So here's the method for developing a positioning statement that makes you instantly referable. All right. So step 1 is the best result inventory. Okay. So write down your 5 most dramatic, specific, measurable client results. Okay. Not your favorite clients, your most undeniable outcomes. Revenue increased, hours reclaimed, problems specifically solved. List those out. Okay, 5 top ones. Maybe come up with 10 and then pick the top ones that are, maybe you helped a couple people with. Now, look at those 5 results and ask, is there a pattern, right? A specific type of client, I got to get a haircut, a specific type of client who seems to get the most transformative results. And I know you want to work with this type of client, but if you're getting, like you just naturally are getting this specific result from people, and you're like, maybe it's not your ideal, that's fine, because you need to build your client base, and then you can work towards the other stuff, right? But your most transformative results from working with you. Like for me, it was HVAC companies. I don't know why, I was never in HVAC. Thought about it when I was in high school before I went in the Marines, but because I had my brother's friend was in it. But I don't know. I had a couple HVAC companies. I got them amazing results, so I stuck with them for a while, right? But a specific type of problem that your coaching solves most powerfully, like the most powerful impact you get, okay? So there's a pattern there, okay? Now, this pattern is the beginning of your positioning, all right? Now, step 2 is the access audit, okay? So of all the types of clients you could potentially serve, which ones do you already have natural access to, right? Like existing relationships, some industry credibility, maybe you were in that industry for a while or in the past or currently, right? Maybe a past career, a network that already includes them, okay? That's where you start. Now, access is underestimated in positioning decisions, okay? Access is something a lot of coaches don't think about. The coach who chooses a niche where they already have relationships, already speak the language, and already have some credibility builds dramatically faster than the coach who just decides to coach a niche they find, interesting, but they don't have any connections in that area. They're like, oh, I'd really like to coach XYZ, right? I'd really like to coach billionaires, right? You know what I mean? I don't know. I'd really like to coach race car drivers, right? Have you ever raced a car? No. Do you have any connections in that industry? No. But I think it's really cool. Okay. Well, it might take you a little while to get some clients there, right? You got to build up those connections. So step 3 is here's that word, specificity. I said it, stress test, okay? So take your current positioning statement, right, whatever it is, and make it 3 times more specific. I know this sucks. I know it's a pain in the butt, right? But the more clarity is power. The more specific you can get, the easier it will be. If you do the hard work up front, the rest is easy, okay? So do all the hard work up front. That's why I work out first thing in the morning, right? It's like the hardest thing, right? Life can get in the way after that, okay? But if it says business owners, make it professional service firm founders or something like that, right? In the first 5 years. If it says coaches who want to grow, make it coaches in their 2nd or 3rd year who have traction but inconsistent revenue and can't identify why, right? See how clear that is? All right. Now, read the new, more specific statement out loud. Does it feel limiting? If it does, good. That means it's specific enough to be meaningful. Now, it might not be perfect, but that's what you're working on. Go test it, tweak it, okay, and get clearer and clearer. Now, the fear that specificity will shrink your market is almost always misplaced, okay? Specificity doesn't shrink your market. It makes you the obvious choice, right, within the part of your market you actually serve best. And I just thought of this, right? Who do you think, well, I don't know where you live in the country, but here, when I think of oil change, right, my 4Runner needs an oil change. It doesn't, but it's had that done. But and I didn't go to these people, but it's because I have a mechanic. But when I think of oil change, I think of Jiffy Lube. It's the first thing that comes to my mind. Now, they do other things. I actually went to a Jiffy Lube because my 4Runner has upgraded drive shafts and U-joints and all this stuff, right? So it's 4-wheel drive. So and it has aftermarket stuff. And I thought they all had, I know this is kind of off base here, but I took it to a Jiffy Lube because I noticed there was a little squeak. And I thought, oh, they didn't grease the U-joints in my drive shaft, okay? For those of you who don't know what that is, don't worry. Okay, it's what makes your car move. Okay, so when I went in there to Jiffy Lube, they're like, there's no couplings or whatever they I forget what they're called right now. So, but there's no I can't think of the word. But anyways, there's tips that they put the grease gun into fill with grease, whatever that is called. But anyways, they're like, oh, there's none on this. I'm like, oh shoot, yeah, it's because it's aftermarket. They're all sealed. All the U joints and everything are sealed. So, anyways, it's okay. The squeak went away. I don't know what it was, something, but it's gone. But anyways, I think it's Jiffy Lube when I think of oils. Okay, that's kind of what you want, right? Someone to think of you in a specific niche, right? That you get great results in. Right? So Jiffy Lube, you're in and you're out, and your oil's changed. Boom, there you go. Okay. Now, share your new positioning statement with 5 people who know you, okay, and ask them, hey, if you heard something like this, like if someone said this to you, right, about themselves at a networking event, would you know exactly what kind of person to send them to, right? Like, could you picture a specific individual in your network? So test it out, okay? Now, if they can picture someone specifically, like Bob, Bruce, Bill, Mary, Jane, Emily, right? Your positioning is working. If they say they would think of a lot of different people, make it a little more specific. Like, yeah, I can think probably about 10 people. Okay, no. Specifically, okay? 1 or maybe 2 people at most, okay? Now, if you've been Michelle, known by many, hired by few, okay? I want to help you build the positioning that finally makes you instantly referable, okay? So, comment or DM me workshop, and my team will send you a registration link to my upcoming free workshop. I don't have the date set yet, but it's coming up in the next couple of weeks, okay? Where we'll build that, and I'll show you, if you're not already at 20K per month in your coaching practice, I'll show you how to get there, okay? Positioning is where we start, all right? Second, comment or DM me session to schedule your HIT 20K a month strategy call. Now, this is strictly for business coaches, all right? Now, we'll work through what's going on in your business, what are you doing, what are you not doing, we'll do a full audit on your business, and we'll create specificity, right? We'll give it a stress test, and we'll look at exactly what you need to do. And from that meeting, I will give you the plan. You'll know exactly what to do, and if you want my help, great. If not, no big deal, all right? Third, comment or DM me book, and I will send you a free digital download of my book for business coaches to hit 20K a month. All right, so comment or DM me workshop, session, or book right now. You have a network. Let us give it something specific to do with you. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. I'm going on my walk. Have an awesome, awesome Friday, and we'll see you soon.